Stumbling home, we don't know where we're going. Should've turned back hours ago. Out of our minds, I guess we're sleeping outside. You're still a good time, even in the cold.
Hello, welcome to Defender Adventure. We are Paul and Chrissy from the UK, and with our Land Rover Defender that we have called Sterling, we are travelling the world.
Guess we need a new plan. There's a motel a mile down the road.
Good morning. Today is Tuesday, the 31st of May, the day after Memorial Day, and the Memorial Day weekend has been very much a washout. We have been on the move and we have sort of headed north quite a bit. We're now in Idaho. We just crossed the state border into Idaho. We are at Twin Falls. We have planned ourselves an Idaho route that takes us up into the Sawtooth forest and loops us all the way round through the heartland of Idaho and back down to Boise before we head out west towards Oregon. But we couldn't leave Twin Falls without going to see Shoshone Falls. Shoshone Falls forms a very small part of the 1,078 mile long Snake River. This is a river that we will come back to later on our journey.
We walk along that stream, talking nervously. We closer, won't be long now. You made me write this song.
Only a couple of miles downstream of the falls, we came across this.
We talk until we can't no more. You know I like I found before.
It's the location of Evel Knievel's attempt to jump over the Snake River Canyon. A jump of just under half a kilometre. I don't think I can convey on this video just how far that is over there. That's an amazing jump. The attempt, which took place in 1974, saw Mr. Knievel launch at over 300 miles per hour, but unfortunately only seconds later his parachute deployed too early and the attempt failed. In his lifetime, Evel survived every one of his 70 different stunts and managed to set a new world record of 433 broken bones. I've told Sterling that there is actually a bridge just a few hundred yards down there, but he's determined to give it a go. He thinks he can do it. Anyway, Sterling's now decided he is going to take the bridge. While we were looking at the bridge, we noticed with some concern that there were some people who looked like they might jump off the bridge. And then they did. I'm not sure what the correct term would be in the US, but in the UK, we would call these people nutters. Leaving Twin Falls behind, we ventured north to the Craters of the Moon National Monument and Preserve. We found a beautiful spot in the campground and spent a relaxing afternoon in anticipation of our hike the following morning. We camped here last night. Our campground is just a quarter of a mile or so down the road there, and this park has a 7-mile loop drive that takes you to all the main features. We've decided, as we've been sat in the vehicle for a few days now, that we would walk as much of this as we can. And the first thing we're going to do is this is the North Crater Trail. It's a 1.8-mile trail. It's going to take us up to the top of the crater, down into the crater, back out, and then out and down the other side. 1.8-mile trail to bring us back to the road, and then we're going to carry on the loop from there. We'll show you the view from the top.
It's our job to know where the path is, but they've got these stakes. Pretty little flowers.
We've just got to a very interesting point, and I thought now might be a good time to pass on my extensive knowledge of volcanic geology.
Well,
I'll try. Firstly, big hole, crater, and if you just rotate round slowly, maybe a bit quicker.
Oh, you can fast forward.
There's another big hole. So this national monument is called Craters of the Moon. I didn't just swing it better. Anyway, so this national monument is called Craters of the Moon. And while indeed there are craters on the moon, my understanding is that most of those were caused by meteorites, whereas these craters here were formed by volcanic action. This is just everywhere, this sort of cinder, lava, stone stuff, but it's very light, very, very light. But there isn't one big volcano here. It's a rift in the ground. It's 52 miles long, and hot lava swells up through the rift along the length. It's the Snake River Plain that this rift runs between, and we're just in a very small part of it here. But you get the craters, which are generally where the vents where the lava would have come up. The lava would flow. At times the lava gets blocked, and then you get cinder cones form in those locations. You have spatter cones form in different places. But very shortly we'll hopefully walk around the rim of this crater just behind Chrissy, and we'll have a view out, and I think you can see how extensive this lava field, if that's the right phrase, is, how far it travels. 52 miles. It's you feel like you want to say it's barren, but it's not. It's actually it's quite beautiful, and there is wildlife here and plant life here. So yeah, we'll carry on with our hike and see if I can educate you a little bit more. Thank you.
Oh, there he is. Look, I'm down there. In front of you. Quick. Oh, quick.
Well, we've just got back. We finished our hike. Not sure how long it was. Probably in the region. Yes.
4.5 hours.
4.5 hours, but we did a lot of stopping.
We did.
But there are a couple of little trails off and little features of the park that we didn't get to see. So tomorrow morning, once we've packed camp up and we're ready to go, we'll go off for a little drive. There's a couple of more hikes, maybe doing another couple of miles in the morning. So we would expect to leave here about lunchtime tomorrow. Good morning. So as promised, we're back out again on our second day here in the Craters of the Moon National Monument. After sharing my extensive volcanic knowledge with you yesterday, I called into the visitor centre yesterday afternoon and spoke with the ranger there, and it turns out, if you can believe it, that I wasn't correct on everything. I mean, I'm not sure where he gets his information from, but he was trying to tell me that when a volcanic eruption first takes place, that the pressure pushes up and lava, which I learned yesterday is actually called magma when it's below ground, and it's called lava when it's above ground. Lava spews out under great pressure, and that's what forms these cinder cones. This is not where the lava comes from. This is not the vent of the volcano. This is actually where the lava, all this cinder, which is, the whole area is just covered in this. This forms cinder cones. We've got them all around us here. So we have cinder cones which form at the beginning of an eruption. We have spatter cones which tend to form towards the end when there's not enough pressure to force the lava away, and it just sort of rises a little bit and then drops down. And then we have different types of flowing lava. There's the fast flowing rope-like lava that is called something that I will narrate over the top of this because I can't remember the name of it now. And then there's the bit where you've seen it on the television when you've seen lava flow and it's moving very slowly and it's sort of tumbling over itself. And that creates aha rocks, cinders.
AA, yeah? Is that aha?
Spelled A, pronounced, I think, It's Hawaiian. And there are some volcanic features, but I don't really want to overwhelm you with information just at this stage. So I'll leave you with the simple stuff, and I'll have another word with that ranger on my way out. Thank you. So this, I believe, is a good example of the aha volcanic rock formation. This would have been the front edge of the lava as it was flowing, and the lava would have slowly been cooling, forming these different block shapes. I bet the ranger says something different. With the first of the hikes behind us, we took the short but scenic drive over to the caves area. Unfortunately, due mainly to ice and snow, all of the caves, except for Indian Tunnel, were closed. So Indian Tunnel it was. So, pulling on my volcanic knowledge yet again, I can tell you that this is called Indian Tunnel. It's an old lava tube. This is where the lava on the surface would have cooled and formed a crust, and then the lava underneath the surface would have continued to run and potentially, in this case, drain away, leaving a very long tunnel, a long lava tube. We have walked past some signs where the lava tube has collapsed, but apparently you can walk through this lava tube and exit out of the far end. I feel like they should be playing some music here. That is Indiana Jones, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I always get that confused with the Magnificent Seven.
What's that one?
Oh, it goes.
That's enough.
And there she goes, never to be seen again. This is what happens to the roof of a lava tube when it collapses while it's still warm. The description is the roof has collapsed like a souffle. And in this example here, the roof has collapsed and has shattered like peanut brittle. We left Craters of the Moon National Monument this morning. We followed the Crater to Peaks,
Yes,
or
I think it's Crater to Peaks.
okay,
Scenic Byway.
Peaks to Craters. We followed the Scenic Byway. Nice drive, and it brought us to a town called Ketchum. And just north of Ketchum is the District Ranger's office for the Sawtooth National Forest. We called in and spoke to the ranger lady there, and she very kindly gave us some suggestions of where we can go and what we can do. We've headed north from there, and we're right now at Galena Pass, just over 8,300 feet. We're back in snow level here right now, and if Chrissy rotates the...
Ooh, wrong way.
Flip
There's
it,
Sterling. Oh, flip it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Bear with.
Flip
Right.
it.
No, why won't it do it?
I don't know. Operator error?
Hold on, put my glasses on.
So this is the view from the pass, and if you keep going round down there is the road. That is a 5-mile descent to take us down into the bottom of the valley, and we will be camping somewhere along there. There's a couple of lakes that we can try out and see if we can find a nice campground, and if we can, maybe spend a couple of nights with the opportunity to do a nice hike tomorrow. So it's all downhill from here. What's the time?
I don't know. 3:30, 4?
Okay. Well, you've caught us at beer and nuts time, which could be anywhere between 2 and 5, I guess. We have now arrived. This is Pettit Lake, Lake Pettit.
Pettit Lake.
Pettit Lake, small lake, but nice backdrop of mountains and nice campground through here. We've just got to make a decision whether we're going to stay here one night or two. There is potentially a nice hike to do here tomorrow, in which case if we do that, I think we'll stay for the 2 nights, and then we'll just sit here, enjoy the lake and our beer and nuts, and then wander back to the car and have and get dinner. With the beautiful Sawtooth Mountains keeping us company, we left Pettit Lake the following morning and drove the short distance north to the scenic Redfish Lake. We had chosen not to do a hike that morning and instead wanted to make some progress, conscious of the limited time we had left in the States. So a couple of photos later, and we were back on the 75 heading north with the tumultuous Salmon River running beside us all the way to the town of Salmon and beyond. Crossing into Montana at the Lost Trail Pass, we continued on to our next overnight stop. As we had chosen not to hike at Pettit Lake, we felt we should hike at our next overnight stop, which was the Three Frogs campground at Lake Como, not far from the town of Hamilton. It is said that Lake Como was given its name in the 1800s by a Father Anthony Revalli, a Jesuit priest who named the lake in remembrance of the famous Lake Como in his native Italy. There was a 7-mile walk around the perimeter of the lake with supposedly a beautiful waterfall at the far end of the lake. We set off on our hike as the heavens opened. don't think I want to get that wet.
No, it's a bit wet. I just said it's a bit wet.
Well, you really do have to be careful about what you wish for. When we were down in Arizona in the dust and the sand and the heat, Chrissy on a number of occasions said, "Oh, I really like being in the trees. I like the green." Well, we are now in the trees and in the green, but it is very wet. We travelled up the highway from Salmon this morning and stopped at, turned off, I should say, at Hamilton to this lake here behind me, Lake Como. Our plan here today is to camp. We've parked the vehicle in the campground. Sterling's sitting there waiting for us, and our plan was to do a 7 to 8 mile hike round the perimeter of the lake. We put our waterproofs on because it looked like it might rain, and rain it did. It's stopped now and it's just clearing up a little bit, but we have got probably, I'm guessing, 3/4 of the length of this side of the lake. We were looking forward to getting to the end of the lake where there's a big waterfall to see, but unfortunately a smaller waterfall that we had to cross is absolutely teeming with water, is absolutely gushing. Teeming didn't sound right. Is gushing, and we couldn't cross. Well, we could have done, but we'd have got very, very wet doing it, and we couldn't see the point. So we decided to stop and have our hot chocolate here, and we are now walking back the same side as we walked all the way down. But hopefully, by the time we get back, we might have dried out a little bit.
Hope so.
And then we can have our bacon sandwich in a bit of...
We know how to live.
Yes, have a nice bacon sandwich and a bowl of soup when we get back. And maybe if we're lucky, a hot bath.
That would be nice, with bubbles, please.
The rain stayed away the rest of that day, and things looked promising for our journey the following morning. But it didn't last. We took shelter that night in a hotel in Lewiston, and shortly after our arrival we received this message on our phone. It wasn't long before alarms in our hotel were triggered and we had to evacuate and await the emergency services. With the weather much improved the following morning, we were once again able to enjoy the beauty of central Idaho. We drove until we reached Lake Cascade, just south of the resort town of McCall, and we found our next camping spot at the edge of the lake at Rainbow Point Campground. And it was here that we had our first ever sighting of a waxwing. Our Idaho journey, which began in Twin Falls, had taken us north through central Idaho, into Montana, back into Idaho, and we were now returning south to possibly the longest named place we had been to in the States, the Morley Nelson Snake River Birds of Prey National Conservation Area. I told you we would return to Snake River. Located south of the town of Boise, the conservation area has the reputation of having the densest population of nesting raptors in the world. Having found a great camping location, We were excited to see how many birds of prey we could observe that evening and the following morning. With the answer to that being virtually none, we set off the next day on a hike to the Swan Falls Dam and hydroelectric scheme. I went to check that the intake screens were being kept clean, and Chrissy? Well, she went to check on everything else. Now, under pressure to satisfy our house-sitting obligations in Seattle and to be on time for our ferry crossing to Vancouver Island, we had a lot of miles to travel in a short time. We are hoping that the house-sitting service will give us the few days preparation we require prior to our border crossing into Canada. But that is for our next video. So thanks for watching and see you soon.